Hello, hello. Let me fix this. All right. I'm so excited. Hello, you guys. I am Kennedy McClay, if you have never heard my voice before. And this is the Flourish Factor, my brand new podcast that is going to be on Spotify and YouTube. I decided to start this podcast because I wanted a platform to talk to my friends, talk to my followers, and talk to anyone who wants to listen about all things life, talking about growth, talking about struggles, talking about the reality of being a young adult in this generation, in this world that we live in. And I really wanted to talk from a young female perspective of what it is to be in your early 20s and finding ways to flourish into adulthood. I think with this podcast, I'm going to touch on a lot of subjects that some people might find triggering, some things that you might not think about on a daily basis, but we're really going to get into like the deep nitty-gritty of all things life and struggles, and we're going to talk a lot about mental health, jobs and finance. We're going to talk about boyfriends, relationships, dating, friendships, bullying, body image. We're going to talk about so many different things, and I am very excited to share this whole journey with you guys. I just wanted to point it out there real quick that I do have a Instagram account for this podcast specifically called _flourish_factor, and the TikTok is the Flourish Factor podcast. Kennedy McClay on Instagram and Kennedy Blake on TikTok and YouTube, where I will also be posting regular vlogs and other bits and pieces of my life. So I just wanted to do a little self-promo shout out there to get the day started. Don't mind if you're watching this on YouTube. The background right now is not ideal. I'm in my hometown bedroom. It is like 5:30 p.m. So the sun is starting to set, and my ring light and my good camera are at my school apartment in Towson, and I am not in Towson right now, so I will not be able to film the highest quality video for my first YouTube, but I will be changing that in future episodes. But for now, bear with me in my childhood bedroom. My bed is behind me. I tried to make it look somewhat presentable to be here today, and I am sitting right in front of my window so I could get the best natural lighting possible. I'm very excited. I did get a mic, so when I am back at school, I will have a desk that I will be sitting at, and I will be able to prop up this mic with the stand and make it look a little more professional. But for today, we are just going to sit here and on my carpet, just chilling out. I've got a Christmas blanket on my lap, and we're just going to talk about all the things I want to talk about today. I have a journal that I keep, and I have a section literally called Things on My Mind. Just topics that I want to talk about with you guys and things that I'm really interested in bringing awareness to, as well as hearing your guys' perspective. I want this to be a big conversation. I want things to be open-ended, and I think that that's important because in order to grow, we need to be able to hear different opinions and different people's experiences, because not everyone's experience is going to be the same. We all come from different backgrounds. We all have been raised differently, and we all want to pursue different things in our lives. So I think it's important to hear other people's stories and share those messages with the world, because we all, at the end of the day, are human. We all make mistakes, and we're all just trying to learn how to navigate life. And I think that that's really cool, and I think that that brings us together. Enough with my rambling. We are going to get into Season 1, Episode 1 of The Flourish Factor. This episode is going to be about sustainable growth. I picked some quotes that I found off of Pinterest that I felt really encompassed this idea of sustainable growth. Growth is painful. Change is painful. But nothing is as painful as staying stuck somewhere that you do not belong. When I hear this quote, a lot of things rush through my mind. I think about all of the days, weeks, months, years, you name it, that something specific has happened and I have had the choice, because we all do have a choice, to stay where I was, be unhappy or uncomfortable or angry, or I had the opportunity to change and to learn from my mistakes or learn from my experience and change how I felt in that moment. That does not mean that it comes easy. You can't just be like, I flipped the switch. I have a completely different perspective on life now and I'm perfect. It doesn't work that way. There's a lot of balance that has to go into it, and not every day is going to be equally balanced as others. And I am not perfect. I have my days where I'm down in the dumps too, or I'm off my rocker and I'm not in routine, and we will get into all of that in some future episodes. With that being said, you have to start somewhere. In this case, it might be a new mindset. It could be a new habit. It could be new locations. Maybe you need to move. Maybe you need to physically get out of the place that you are in order to see things from a different perspective. And maybe you need to meet new friends along the way. Maybe your friendships are not sustainable to you. Maybe they're not benefiting you. Maybe you're staying in them because you're scared to branch out. Maybe you grew up in the same hometown and those are your only friends, but you have to move away to college or you have to relocate for a job and you're scared to move away from home. You're hesitant to reach out to new people and try to find like-minded people, which at the end of the day will probably benefit you more than it could harm you. With new mindsets, I think new mindsets have to come from a place of self and self-worth and self-acceptance. You have to want to do things for yourself, not for other people. When it comes to building a new mindset, it can start with one thing and then eventually it will expand into other aspects of your life. For example, the beginning of this year, I decided that I was going to completely shift my mindset in how I live my day-to-day life. My word that I had picked for this year was discipline in my health. So I guess it was a phrase. I wanted to be more disciplined about my health. And what that looks like for me is drinking more water, which I have my Stanley cup literally sitting right next to me. I should probably take a sip. I'm really trying to drink more water. I know that water is good for me. I know that we need it as humans to survive. And I'm going to be honest, there was a period of time where I don't even know if I was drinking a full cup of water a day. And that sounds quite mad, quite insane. I don't know how my body functioned without water. I ate a lot of fruits and vegetables, so I was getting water from that. But aside from that, I was not drinking any water. Maybe some ice from my coffee in the morning, but that was about it. So water was like the first big thing that I changed about my mindset was I'm going to be disciplined and fill up my water 2 to 3 times a day, and I'm going to sip on it as long as it takes me to finish that cup. I will sip on it. Sure, do I have to use the restroom a little more often than I would like? Yes, at times. But if I'm really dehydrated or I did a really good workout that day and I sweat out a bunch of toxic shit in my body, then sometimes the water is just fulfilling and I don't have to use the bathroom 100 times a day. So it honestly really just depends. But yes, water was a big one. I was like, I need to drink more water. It was necessary for me. The second thing was getting in more steps. In 2023, I had kind of a different mindset shift where I was just really not happy with my body, the way I looked, the way I felt, the way I was eating, the way I was treating my body, the way I was thinking and talking about myself was just very negative and not in a healthy place at all. I was very sad and embarrassed, and I knew that in order to change that, I needed to change my mindset. And so along with drinking water and getting more steps, I just decided that I needed to implement these things into an everyday basis and not just a challenge or, something like that. For example, the 75 hard. I think a lot of us have heard of it. Many of us have maybe even attempted it, or just took bits and pieces from the challenge and tried to implement it into their daily life. I, for one, have never done the 75 hard. Not to say that I never would try it or that I don't think that it's good. I think that a lot of people who have done it have seen a lot of success and a lot of change in either their mindset or the way they eat or just getting more water in the day, getting more steps in. I think it's a great way to form new habits, but I don't think that for me personally, restricting myself to that specific plan for 75 days straight would necessarily keep me held accountable for the remainder of my life. I think it's great for, like the word said, it's a challenge. It's not meant to be easy. It's not meant to be long-term sustainable. And I don't think I would attempt it solely based on the fact that it isn't sustainable. Certain aspects of it are, like I mentioned before, but overall, I wanted to find a way for myself, my mind, my body to be able to form a new habit that was sustainable and could be continued on every single day. I would not say that I drink 100 fluid ounces of water a day. I do not always hit my 10,000 steps, although I do really try. If you're a friend or a family member of mine, you probably know that I go to the gym 4 to 5 days a week. I usually do at least one Pilates class a week, one cycling class a week. I like to run outside on the weekends when I'm home visiting in my neighborhood because it's a safe neighborhood to run around in. And sometimes I will stand in front of a TV and get my steps in. And you know what? It works for me. And that's how I hold myself accountable. But it's not every day. It doesn't happen every single day. And that's normal. We're human. We mess up. We're going to have days where we don't feel like it. Maybe you're on your period. Maybe you just got over having a really bad cold. Had a big exam the night before and you're like, you know what? I'm sleeping in today and I'm skipping the gym. And that's okay. You have to change your mindset to tell yourself that even when you're trying to form new habits, that missing a day is not going to completely destroy your progress. You have to have the mindset that my body needed this day of rest. My body wanted this piece of chocolate, and that's not going to change my entire appearance. Restricting yourself is not going to aid to your progress. It is going to make things a lot more difficult for you, and personally for me. When I go into an episode more on body image specifically, I will talk a ton about food and relationships with food and body image itself and that whole spiel. We are just grazing over the idea of sustainability. The next part, new mindsets and new people. When I say new mindset, I don't mean specifically we're going to flip the switch 180 and we're going to be a different human being tomorrow morning when we wake up, and that's the person we are going to be and act like for the rest of our lives. New mindsets means your outlook on something. If you planned on going to an amusement park with your friends and you planned this a month in advance and you bought tickets and you got a hotel to stay the night in, and you wake up that morning and there's a thunderstorm and the park is closed and your day is just destroyed, like, what am I gonna do with my life? The theme park is closed. I've been looking forward to this for a month. Now I don't get to see my friends. Now I've just wasted money on a hotel and tickets that I cannot get refunded, and I'm pissed off. rightfully so. I would probably be pissed off too, but you can flip the switch and say, while this does suck, what can I do to make this day better? Let's see. It's raining outside, and it's dreary and miserable. How can I make this day more enjoyable? I could turn on a movie. I could invite my friends over. We could make some popcorn and have a girls' night. Little drinks and chill out. I could have the night to myself, take a nice bubble bath, watch my favorite episode of a Netflix TV show. You can do things to change your outlook on life. The next quote that I wrote down that I think is important. Do not be ashamed of slow progress. We tend to forget that baby steps will move you forward too. This one is huge and something that I am still myself working on a daily basis when it comes to my body and working out. I look in the mirror every single morning and I say, my abs still aren't there yet. No, my biceps look the same that they did a month ago. My shoulders aren't growing. I think I lost muscle in my butt. Like, all of these things. And from surface level, that seems absolutely ridiculous. But when you are in your head and you're thinking about your self-worth, sometimes those physical things harm you more than they help you. And looking in the mirror isn't always a good thing. Baby steps are okay. A baby step could be getting up and going to the gym in the morning 3 days a week. That could be your baby step. Doesn't mean your body's going to change overnight. Doesn't mean it's going to change in a month. Doesn't mean it's going to change in a year. Well, it probably would change in a year, but you know what I mean. It doesn't happen overnight. And you can't expect that by implementing a new habit is going to drastically change your physical appearance or the way that you see yourself. It is a learning process. It's a growing process. And it really is a lot of mental strength and work to get to where you want to be and how you want to perceive yourself and the way that you're living. I like to keep a journal. I write down my thoughts. I write down exactly what I'm feeling, even if I don't want to acknowledge it. And I'll be like, you know what? Today was shit. Today I was sad. And I'll write it out why. It might sound absolutely ridiculous. You might read the paper back and be like, was I really upset about that? Was that really as big of a deal as I thought it was? But you know what? It's how you felt in the moment. And acknowledging it and moving forward is better than pretending like you didn't feel that way at all. Because denial is one of your biggest enemies. I found this thing that I thought was so interesting, and I saw it on Pinterest when I was looking up how to build sustainability in your life. And I saw this thing called the Balanced Self-Wheel. Have you heard of it? Because I never have. The balance wheel is literally like looking at a pie chart that you would have in math class growing up. And it has 3 different factors. And this is by Notes by Talia on Pinterest. So shout out to Notes by Talia. I did not take your information. This is coming straight from you and I'm giving you credit. The first one is to be productive and to have priorities in your life. They could be big priorities. They could be little. They could be making your bed in the morning. Sometimes I still struggle with that. It could be doing your nighttime skincare. Maybe that's your big priority of the day. Maybe it's, I want to meditate every single morning. I want to do 20 push-ups. I want to drink a gallon of water. There could be a million different things that could be on your priority list, and that should be one of your main focuses to have a balanced life. The second one, be playful. Have fun and enjoy your life. Life is not meant to be miserable. We are not meant to roll out of bed in the morning, go to school or work, and then come home and crash and do it all over again Monday through Friday. Because we should not be living our lives just to look forward to the weekend. We should be living life to the fullest every single day. Sure, not every day is going to have the most exciting plans. Some days are probably going to be pretty mundane, and you're just going to be getting up and making your morning coffee and going to work and sitting in traffic and being miserable. Which sounds absolutely awful saying it out loud, but it's a part of being human. It's a part of the way our system works, and even if it sucks sometimes, you have to find the joys in the little things. I look forward to making my coffee in the morning. I made a vlog today on TikTok that I went to Dunkin' to pick up a caramel iced coffee with 2 cream. my favorite, my go-to right now. You should try it if you never have. And that is my weekly treat. I get it on the weekends when I come home to visit because when I'm at school, I save money and I make coffee at home. But on the weekends, I treat myself to a Dunkin', and it's pure joy. Pure joy in my day is getting my coffee. The third and final is to be restful and to be calm. And I think that that is so cool that that should be a part of our balance in life, is to be restful. Give yourself time. Give yourself grace. Allow yourself to be present and to be still. We don't have to be a hamster on a wheel, running and running and running and running and never stopping, never resting, never being present. You need to be present in your life in order to fully understand what you're thinking, how you're feeling, what you're going through, and to be fully aware of those around you and the world around you. Being at a state of rest gives your mind and your physical body time to recuperate and to revive itself so that you can go out and you can have fun and you can work hard. And that's balance. Consistency is to seek the challenge as an opportunity. If I see something that I really want to try, and I always say the gym as an example because the gym is where I find challenge and joy. I really want to be able to squat some heavy plates one day. And right now, I'm squatting about 70 pounds on each side. So that's like 160 including the bar. And let me tell you, that shit is hard to learn. I did not grow up very athletic. And so the fact that I'm even able to do a squat on a rack is insane. But I have goals and I look at those plates and I say, I'm never going to be able to do that. And then I stop myself and I think, no, that's my mind talking. That's not the reality. I can do that. I just have to work for it. And it could take months. And that's the consistency. You have to show up. You have to challenge yourself. You can't be afraid. You have to push yourself and allow yourself to get out of that comfort zone, because once you get out of that comfort zone, you will exceed your own expectations and you will surprise yourself. You'll say, damn, I can do more than I thought. I can do this. The fixed versus the growth mindset. This is a key element to a sustainable life. Fixed mindsets is basically being stuck in the place that you're at right now. I'm not good enough. I made mistakes and I'm never going to be able to fix them. Maybe you said something about a friend and you really regret it because they found that text message, or maybe another friend told them what you said. And you're like, the friendship is over. I'm a terrible person and I'm never going to be able to take that back. Mistakes help you learn. Maybe you learn not to gossip about your friends behind their back. Maybe you learn that you should have been honest about how you felt in the first place, because maybe then you would have never said those things. Telling yourself you're not good enough, tell yourself that you can get good with effort and practice. You don't fail unless you never try. Giving up, there is no such thing. You tell yourself, I will get there. I just have to be on the right track. I need to keep going. You might not be able to run a half a mile for 3 months. Maybe that's a little extreme, but you never know. We're going to use that as a figure of speech. You really want to become a runner, but you can barely run a half a mile without feeling like you're going to keel over. But you really want to run that half marathon next year. So you run. You do the stretches, you hydrate, you eat enough carbs, you get good sleep, and you run until you can't run anymore, because if you stop and you give up, you're never going to run that half marathon. It's not going to happen unless you try. You have to trust the process. I think that this personally, for me, goes back to the idea of slow progress and that baby steps will move you forward. Trusting the process is going through the motions of the day and working on the thing that you want to work on, and knowing that eventually one day you'll see the progress and you won't even know it's coming. It might be 6 months down the road and you walk by the mirror and you go, dang, do I see an ab? I don't know why I use fitness for a lot of examples because I'm big into fitness. Trust the process could be, I'm doing this math problem and I really can't get it. Every time I try, I get the wrong answer. I use the calculator. It doesn't make sense. But after enough practice and after enough repetition, one day you'll get it. Maybe you're memorizing a song. Maybe you're a singer. Maybe you're an actor and you're trying to memorize a script and you just can't get that darn sentence right. But after enough practice, you're going to get it and you're going to nail that role. You have to get out of that comfort zone and turn it into the growth zone. You have to get out of comfort, away from fear. You have to be ready to learn, and then you will grow. It's not going to be comfortable to grow. It's going to be messy and full of a lot of feelings, and they're not always going to be positive feelings. Experiences that you do not expect. The world may throw a curveball at you that makes you feel like you've walked one step forward and then 3 steps back. But you know what? That's a part of growth because now you have your new mindset and you can handle that ball that's been thrown at you because now you know how to deal with it. And you know that by changing your mindset, you can move forward and you will get over that obstacle. Now that we've kind of talked a lot about the ways that you can change that mindset and that facing your fears will allow you to gain the growth and the confidence that you want, let's talk about motivation, because I'm not motivated a lot of the time. People always ask me, how do you get up and do that every day? How did you get from A to B? Motivation, discipline, the things that nobody wants to think are actually legit, they are. You can manifest. Like I said, I like to journal. You can manifest your life. You can write things down as if they're already happening to you or happening for you. And write it into existence. Make it real. Make yourself believe that what you're writing is going to be true. For years, I wrote that I would have a boyfriend. I wrote, one day I'm going to have the best boyfriend in the world, and he is going to be the one, and he is going to be someone that genuinely cares about me and someone that is meant to be in my life. Not because I went seeking for him, but because the world brought him to me. And then I met Justin, and then we started dating. And now here we are 4 years later, and I've never been happier than with my friend and the love of my life. And as corny as that sounds, I'll definitely go into an episode about me and Justin in a future time. But for now, that was a manifestation. And I believe that. Speaking into existence, visuals, a vision board. If you've ever seen a Pinterest board with somebody's aesthetic pictures, make a vision board. It could be your wallpaper on your phone. It doesn't have to be some big poster board that you make, although if you're arts and craftsy, maybe you could do that too. That would be a fun project with a friend, or even just some time for yourself to just be present and have something to take your mind off of other things going on. Live your life the way that you want your life to be. When I say that, I don't know if it necessarily makes sense, so I'm going to explain. You already need to be living the way you want to live. Now, if you're thinking, Kennedy, I want to be rich and famous, and I'm not rich or famous, so I can't live that luxurious Kardashian lifestyle, I understand. But hear me out. When I say you want to live, you've got to live the way that you want to live, I mean, if you want to be a health guru, you got to start acting like one. Start making your greens. Start waking up earlier, drinking your water, going for walks, being in nature. You can't just be sitting like a couch potato, but then want to be some fitness model. You have to you have to work towards those goals. You can't just sit there and expect life to hand things to you, because I hate to break it to you, but without some sort of effort, a lot of those things are not going to come naturally to you. And if they do, kudos to you. If something was handed to you so easily that you're just like, that was a breeze, I didn't even have to work for it, teach me your ways, please. You can grab your journal. Oh, no, this is going to be a little exercise. I decided for part of my podcast, I want you guys to be a little more interacted and involved. So grab a piece of paper or grab a journal. I'm waiting. I have mine. I'm going to write with you. Aesthetic. Or what's the word? ASMR. I have my pen and I have my paper. I hope you have yours too, because we're getting started. I want you to think, close your eyes, and envision your future. What does it look like? Who are you with? Where do you live? What is your career? What do you like to eat? What does your morning look like? What are you wearing? And are you happy? When you close your eyes and you think of your future, are you smiling and laughing and having the best time? Or are you sitting there sad, alone, and depressed? Because if your future's looking bright and you're happy and that's what you envision your life to look like, I'm talking dream life. I'm not talking, oh, this is the reality. In 5 years, I'm going to be working in an office from 9 to 5, and I'm probably going to be on a really tight budget, probably in student debt, living in my parents' basement. I'm talking the dream life. Where do you want to be? Where do you want to be in 15 years? You can pause this episode and actually go back and listen to those questions that I just read and actually answer them. Write them down on pen and paper. Because I'm telling you that when you actually bring those ideas to life and you write it down, you can realize there are steps that you can take to achieve those goals. They're not just dreams. They can become your reality. Actors and famous people out there and CEOs, they aren't a fantasy. They worked their asses off to get where they are today, believe it or not. A lot of them, not everyone, but a lot of them. It didn't happen overnight. Embrace that. Embrace that feeling. Embrace how you feel when you envision that future. Think of positive affirmations that you can tell yourself every day. It could be looking in the mirror and saying, I am beautiful, I am smart, I am brave, and I am worthy. It could be positive reassurance. I will do well on that test today. I will ace that exam. I will run 3 miles. I will lift 90 pounds on the squat rack. You have to tell yourself you can in order to believe that you can. Challenge yourself. Try at least one new thing a day. That sounds a little overwhelming because we've got a lot of days in the year, but if you take it day by day, I promise you can do one new thing. Lately, my one new thing has been reading. I suck at reading. I have no patience. I can't sit there. I'm starting to get to the end of this episode because the lighting is shifting, but hear me out. Just try one new thing. It could be going for a walk in the morning. It could be doing yoga before bed. Just try one new thing. Anything. To change your life, to add something new and exciting for you. It doesn't have to be something miserable. It could be something as easy as making your sleepy girl mocktail. Those are trending on TikTok right now, I've seen. I haven't personally tried it, but I've heard good things. Limit your screen time. Take a hot shower. Literally do something for you that's going to make you happy. Don't add a new habit that's going to make you be like, God, I dread tomorrow because I'm going to have to do this, this, and this because I told myself, I wrote it in my journal and now I have to do this. Do it because you want to. Do it because it makes you happy. I think In part 2 of this episode, I'm going to go into my own personal mindset journey and really go into depth about how I got to where I am today, as I am telling you all of this information. And you're probably like, where's her credibility? And why is she telling me this, this, and this? I don't hear how she's changed. I don't know her background. We'll go into that in part 2. But I thought that was a pretty good way to end off this episode. Be selfish and think about yourself for once. Do something for you. And with that, you might build a new habit. And if you keep up with that habit, you may have just found yourself some sustainability. Thank you all for being here for the first episode of the Flourish Factor. If you enjoyed, please make sure to leave a review. If you're watching on YouTube, give this video a thumbs up and subscribe. It will really help out my podcast and get my story out there to listeners and viewers online. Make sure again to follow my socials at the Flourish Factor, the _Flourish_Factor, and my personals at Kennedy Blake and Kennedy McClay. I also have the links to my accounts in my YouTube description of this video. So again, thank you all so much for tuning in for the first episode. If you made it the entire way, I want you to go to my Instagram and comment a pink heart. I just love the pink heart. That's why I chose that emoji, but I thought that would be fun. All right. I love you guys. Thank you so much for listening, and I will see you in the next episode of The Flourish Factor.